Introduction: this is not a book. This is a sword. Its purpose is to separate heroes from zeros. You never know a person, or even yourself, until you ask these questions, resolve these dilemmas, and know how to navigate the pitfalls within. 14 questions. 1. What have you sacrificed for your people? Commentary. I'd ask what you have sacrificed, not what you have lost. There's a difference. Everyone on every side has lost something. Even gamblers lose most of the time. But your typical gambler doesn't gamble with the lives and heritage of others. And giving away a small portion of money you never earned, that isn't a sacrifice either. That's a tax. 2. What have you built on your own for white people? Commentary. Not as part of a large team. Not as a funded organization. Not as nepotism, putting your name in a long list of credits for someone else's work. Not a reskin template you bought or downloaded. Not what you asked an AI to automate for you. But tools are fine within reason. Hammers and saws and machinery don't design a house. 3. Have you ever taken donations from anyone? Commentary. The worst kind of genocide is exploiting the victims of genocide by taking what little they have left in their last moments in exchange for false gifts and broken promises of salvation. Instead of taking from them, or even trading with them, you should be giving to them. 4. Have your enemies actively tried to assassinate you, and if so, why? Commentary. Assassination is it being an edgelord provocateur picking fights with random people until civilians get fed up and beat the living shit out of you. Assassination is when powerful people in high places fear you so much that they create international organizations with unlimited funding to combat you and send Matrix-style agents to frame, kill, censor, and defame you. In recent times, there is a pattern of edgelord provocateurs trying to grow their audience and grift, trying to appear legitimate by reciting dangerous truths that originated from real targets of assassination. And then they get more attention than they wanted, but there is no way out, and they are made an example of. And everyone loses. And the important people of origin are quietly deleted in the distraction of noisy man-children. 5. Do you aspire to be some kind of spokesman or leader, and if so, can you explain and showcase your qualifications and credibility? Commentary. The most incompetent and unqualified in an advanced civilization would be considered a guru in an idiocracy. You never know how good or bad an aspiring leader is unless you compare them to others. 6. What precisely is your cause? Commentary. A man who isn't clear about his cause in words isn't clear about his cause in his mind. And a man who isn't clear in his mind is wandering around half-blind in a fog. Words and expression are learned skills. If you're bad with words, you can get good with practice. Your greatest and only significant limitation is effort. But when you gain clarity, you might see things about yourself you don't want to see. But be brave and walk deeper into the fire. It burns away everything that is false and only purifies that which is true. And whatever walks out of that fire can no longer be harmed by fire, is made stronger by fire, and your enemies will bury themselves to avoid a single word that comes out of your mouth. You will be able to completely destroy them with a single sentence, 100 different ways. 7. Do you openly engage and debate your opponents? Commentary. Every war is ultimately won or lost in the arena of debate. Those who avoid and refuse debate are proving their illegitimacy, and they permanently forfeit their place on the chessboard. Those who cherry-pick weak-staged opponents must be dragged out by force to debate their real opponents with the same level of force and coercion they themselves used. 8. Do you have combat knowledge or experience to the point where you are able to skillfully and independently handle sudden hostile situations? Commentary. Those who run from conflict when they need to fight back or stand their ground are what every military in the history of the world calls a traitor. I'm not saying it's good to foolishly run into a battle you can't win or shouldn't fight, but a real soldier knows when to change tactics and never forgets his primary objective. And a real spy knows how to navigate alone in the dark. And a real hero is willing without hesitation to let the world believe he is the villain if it means protecting what he is sworn to protect. And a real smart man will find a way to weaponize it. 9. Do you ever get lost in mazes? Commentary. A man who gets lost in mazes is also lost without mazes. A man who never gets lost in a maze never gets lost in any environment. Such a man is constantly playing Tetris with the blocks of life, and he turns every mistake into a new tactical solution. When you stop playing Tetris, the blocks pile up very quickly and you die. Woe be to the man who realizes the consequences of his derelict of duty shortly before his own tower crushes him, not from above but from below in the foundational rut of apathy and neglect. This is why the strongest of men play, and even make games and mazes. This is how they train themselves for any situation and any war. Or did you think doing steroids and squats makes men strong? It's not about your muscle-to-mass ratio, but your muscle-to-use ratio. One man can spend 12 hours a day bobbing up and down teabagging himself, while the other can save the world with his mere fingertips. This is the age of men and technology, not chimps and chumps. 10. What artistic skills do you have? Commentary. You can know a lot about a man by his artistic skills. It's the ultimate telltale sign of a mimic. They read the script, repeat all the lines, and go through the motions of all the generic stereotypical behaviors, but they can't produce anything on their own. And with modern AI, they can easily fake and automate it. But you can't fake a live stream of someone creating art live to prove what they can make. And the finer details of how they make it says a lot about them. This is how you tell apart legends from Lego blocks. 11. What is love? Commentary. You can never know someone until you know their definition of love. Two people can use the same word and mean something dramatically different. 12. Are you prepared and willing to die for what you claim to believe in, and do you have a documented history that reasonably proves it? Commentary. There are many creatures who live purely on impulse and don't have any sense of self-preservation, who would harm themselves to feign loyalty. But what they really are is a desperate vampire in search of a host. Don't look at their current dramatic deeds and promises. Look instead at their history. It tells you all you need to know. Those who really believe in something have a long history standing firm under extreme pressure, never wavering, never changing their story, never profiteering from it. Impulsive predators might be indistinguishable at first glance if they are willing to cut off their own finger in a public act, but heroes have privately cut off far more for a long time. Villains will throw away and gamble what little they have to feign loyalty, while heroes define themselves not by what they lost, but what they built. Your willingness to die for what you believe in is diametrically and ironically tied to what you lived for and built. 13. What is the meaning and purpose of life? Commentary. If you can't answer this sufficiently, you have no place talking in the presence of anyone. 14. A husband and wife are taken hostage and injected with truth serum that causes them to die of a heart attack if they get stressed out. You find the husband. He is dead. You find the wife. She is still alive. She asks if her husband is still alive. What do you tell her and why? 1. Her husband is dead, tell the truth, but she dies too. Don't answer lie by omission, and she may live or die. 3. Her husband is alive, lie, but she lives, commentary. Depending on your answer, there can be a follow-up question. That's for you to figure out. This question reveals the ultimate truth behind the moral compass or lack of in everyone who tries to answer it. 25 Tactics 1. Kafkaesque bureaucracy, a system where endless red tape, nonsensical procedures, and unaccountable officials create a nightmarish loop that prevents resolution. 2. Gaslighting by bureaucracy, making the complainant doubt their own sanity or perception by constantly moving goalposts and denying reality. 3. Perpetual deferral catch-22 bureaucracy, a deliberate system of referrals where no one takes responsibility and the complainant is indefinitely cycled between departments or authorities. 4. Institutional betrayal, when an institution meant to protect individuals instead shields perpetrators, covers up abuses, and punishes those who seek justice. 5. Malicious compliance, officials strictly following rules in a way designed to delay or obstruct justice rather than resolve the issue. 6. Filibuster by procedure, using excessive procedural steps to delay or prevent meaningful resolution. 7. Strategic lawsuits against public participation SLAPP, a legal harassment tactic used to silence critics by overwhelming them with legal burdens. 8. Administrative harassment/bureaucratic harassment, using the system itself as a weapon against a complainant, ensuring they are worn down emotionally, financially, and legally. 9. State-sanctioned retaliation, when government or institutional actors abuse their power to target whistleblowers or complainants. 10. Zersitzung psychological destabilization tactics, a Stasi-era psychological warfare tactic used to destroy reputations, create isolation, and keep a target in a state of helplessness. 11. Cognitive overload warfare, burying a target in endless paperwork, contradictory demands, and manufactured confusion to break them mentally. 12. The complaint paradox, when those in power control the very system that is supposed to hold them accountable, creating an inherent conflict of interest. 13. Political abuse of psychiatry, the deliberate misuse of mental health systems by governments or institutions to discredit dissidents or whistleblowers by labeling them unstable, delusional, or paranoid, thereby delegitimizing their claims. Forced or coerced psychiatric evaluations, misdiagnosis to neutralize or invalidate testimony. Weaponizing mental health concerns to justify intervention, detainment, or loss of credibility. Using clinicians aligned with institutional interests historically documented in the USSR, China, and during the Cold War. 14. Information containment and shadow suppression, shadow banning like administrative obscurity, reducing the visibility of a person's communications, complaints, online presence, or whistleblowing disclosures without explicitly censoring them. Emails silently go unanswered or get lost. Complaints accepted but never actioned. Social media or organizational platforms silently de-amplify the person's messages. Their work is forwarded into bureaucratic voids. Responses become algorithmically or procedurally invisible. 15. Character assassination campaign, a coordinated effort, formal or informal, to damage a person's reputation to undermine the credibility of their claims. Whisper campaigns, leaking selectively edited information. Painting the whistleblower as unstable, vindictive, criminal, or incompetent. encouraging colleagues or media to distance themselves from the individual. 16. Social isolation engineering. Tactics designed to cut off the person from support networks, making them easier to pressure or dismiss. Discouraging others from interacting with them. Be careful, they are trouble. Subtle retaliation against allies. Creating false narratives that the person is dangerous, dramatic, or unprofessional. Encouraging the target's friends, co-workers, or family to step away for safety or due to concerns. 17. Legibility trap/documentation inversion. Weaponizing the requirement for documentation and proof by making the standards impossible to meet while simultaneously denying the person access to the evidence required. Demanding proof that the institution already possesses but refuses to release. Rejecting evidence because it is not the right format. Requiring notarized, certified, or impossible to obtain documents. Lost files, corrupted submissions, or missing complaint logs. 18. Procedural gaslighting, a more specific refinement of #2. Using contradictory instructions, retroactive rule changes, or shifting justifications to make the complainant appear confused or irrational. We never received your form. Person provides timestamp. That's the wrong version of the form. You must follow procedure. The procedure is changed after the fact. Why didn't you use the updated procedure? 19. Manufactured incompetence. Deliberately pretending to be confused, uninformed, or powerless in order to delay, undermine, or avoid dealing with complaints. Officials who cannot find records repeatedly. IT departments that can't access logs that would verify misconduct. Staff rotation so no one becomes responsible. 20. Evidence dilution or data smothering. Overloading the target with massive irrelevant datasets or contradictory records so that their legitimate evidence is buried, diluted, or made harder to present. 21. Reputation quarantine. Institutions quietly flag the person's name, so whenever their complaint or application arrives, staff are subtly instructed to be dismissive, skeptical, or hostile. Effectively, a covert informal blacklist. 22. Delegitimization by pathologization, framing the person's motives as emotional, obsessive, or pathological rather than rational or evidence-driven. They are fixated, as in the fixated persons unit, as shown in examples like the friendly Geordie's raid. They have a personal vendetta, they are mentally unwell and seeing patterns, they are too emotionally involved to be credible. 23. Delay to despair strategy, dragging out a case long enough that the individual runs out of money, energy, social support, or hope. Months-long pauses between each reply. Requiring the same evidence again and again. Moving the goalposts after each deadline. 24. Manufactured contradiction trap, forcing the target into contradictory positions through impossible choices so the institution can claim their story doesn't add up. You didn't report quickly enough. You reported too quickly before knowing all the facts. 25. Institutional amnesia. Officials repeatedly claiming to have no knowledge of prior complaints, investigations, or meetings despite documented history. This forces the whistleblower to restart the process endlessly. 25 Golden Rules. Rule 1. Do unto others on the internet as you would do to a stranger in a rough pub on a Friday night, because it will be done unto you. Rule 2. Judge others not by your rules, but their rules and their own punishments for violating them. Rule 3. There is no such thing as hate speech. If you hate my speech, censor thyself, or I will do it for you. Rule 4. For all who accuse others, they themselves are the first to be put through the test of fire. The accused has nothing to answer to until the accuser survives the fire untarnished. Hypocrites don't get to speak. Rule 5. If you accuse someone of a heinous crime, you are required to quickly provide sufficient evidence. Fail and you're convicted of the crime. Rule 6. According to the law, ideologies such as communism and Islam are illegal due to their objectives and commandments. Rule 7. Acting in bad faith on the internet is no less a crime than doing it in person. Rule 8. Just because you got away with it on the internet doesn't make it acceptable. If your government doesn't hold you to account, I will personally hold you both to account. Rule 9. Sending someone dodgy links is like giving someone a sandwich you found in a bin in a dark alley. That's a violation of trust and a crime. Rule 10. Bullying, stalking, and harassing people on the internet is not humor, but punishing them is. And it's an obligation to mock their humiliation. Rule 11. To each a punishment or reward as a measure of the power they wielded to do it. Be in verse 2, 5, and 10 rule. Rule 12. Violence is only justified in legitimate self-defense. Denying victims that right is the ultimate unjustified violence. Rule 13. Those without power shall get respect by default. Those with power shall not get respect by default. Both can earn and lose respect. Rule 14. No hypocrisy, no foul. No matter the situation or consequences. Rule 15. Refuse to answer a question 3 times in a row for no good reason, and your opponents dictate your right to speak forever. Rule 16. They answer to you. I answer to them. You answer to me. This is the Holy Trinity of accountability. Rule 17. If you have no solutions, you don't get to speak in the presence of those who do. Rule 18. Silence and provocation are both consent and a formal request for the consequences. Rule 19. You don't speak for anyone but yourself. There is no we, only I. Toddlers who can't fight their own battles don't belong at the big boys' table. Rule 20. Those who wield positions of entrusted power don't get to play dumb. That's an automatic maximum penalty. Rule 21. If you voice support for the violation of others and can't back it up with a sufficient justification, you forfeit your autonomy to those you would violate. Rule 22. For every metaphorical, indirect, passive-aggressive suggestion and innuendo you make, I will literally do unto you. Raid for raid, SWAT for SWAT. Hack for smash. Rule 23. Do what you want to the powerful. They are big boys who can handle themselves. But if you so much as suggest laying a hand on the innocent and vulnerable, I will find you and lay my hand on you, and that's a promise. Rule 24. If I catch you making hacking threats, I won't put an axe to your digital door. I'll put a hammer to your physical door, drag you out by the ear, stretch your balls up in a vice, and ask you questions on live stream. Rule 25. If you have no moral, artistic, and otherwise content of your own, you don't get to speak in the presence of those who do.